Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at business intelligence, or BI as it's known, and how it's changing the world of finance. And, making financial decisions based on just your gut feeling. That's one thing. But imagine being able to have these insights powered by, cutting-edge tech and all the trends that have happened in the past. That's the kind of edge BI can give you. And to really understand the global impact, we're going to be looking at BI from two really different perspectives. The U.S. and Africa, we've got a ton of different sources, articles from Forbes, expert opinions from LinkedIn, and even some serious academic research. So are you ready to dive into the data-driven world of finance?
Well, it's funny. Everyone is talking about BI and AI right now, but the idea itself has been around for a lot longer than you might think.
Okay, so this isn't just like another one of those Silicon Valley buzzwords.
No, not at all. Think about it. Even way before computers, businesses were still collecting data. They were still trying to find patterns to make better decisions. In fact, the term business intelligence, it goes all the way back to 1865. And there's a book called Cyclopedia of Commercial and Business Anecdotes by Richard Miller Devens, and it talks about it.
Wow, 1865, so almost 150 years ago. People were already thinking about this and how important it is to use data to try to understand the market. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And the idea just kept evolving. Like fast forward to 1958, an IBM researcher by the name of Hans-Peter Loon, he wrote a paper called A Business Intelligence System. And he basically laid out this whole framework for automating information collection and analysis. Sound familiar?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like he was writing the groundwork for all the BI systems that we use today.
So these early pioneers were already thinking about, how can we take data, make sense of it, use it to make better decisions? But why is it that BI has become such a game changer now? What's changed?
Well, I think there are like a few key factors that have come together to make BI what it is today. First, you've got the giant amount of data that we're generating every second of every day. Like it's coming from everywhere. Financial transactions, social media, sensors, you name it. It's really mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And you know what they say? Data is the new oil.
Right. But just like oil data needs to be refined to be useful,
Yeah.
it's not enough to just have data. You got to be able to understand it
Yeah.
and pull out those golden insights. So what is it that's enabling us to do that today?
That's where the second factor comes in. The amazing advancements we've had in technology. I'm talking AI, machine learning, advanced analytics, tools that can basically sift through mountains of data and identify patterns, generate predictions, and do it all with incredible accuracy. These tools are letting us not just analyze what's happened in the past, but actually look ahead to what might happen in the future.
So we're not just looking in the rearview mirror anymore. We're looking ahead.
Exactly. And that brings us to the third factor. And this might be the most important one. The huge pressure that businesses are facing to change and come up with new ideas. Because the world's more competitive and unpredictable than ever to stay ahead. Businesses have got to be making decisions faster and smarter. And that's where BI comes in.
Yeah, it's like having this secret weapon in the business world. You can use these insights that your competition might be missing out on completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that BI is a pretty big deal globally, but let's zoom in on the U.S. financial scene.
Yeah.
How is BI being used right now to change the way things work?
Well, based on what we've seen in Forbes and LinkedIn, real-time data analytics is a complete game changer. The financial markets are always moving up and down, and every second counts. With BI, financial institutions can look at live market data and change their investment plans instantly.
So you don't have to wait for those quarterly reports. When the information is already old news. It's like having your finger on the pulse of the market 24/7.
Exactly. But BI is doing way more than just helping with investments. It's also revolutionizing risk management.
Yeah, that's a super important part of finance. How is BI changing the way we manage risk?
Imagine a bank using BI to look at thousands of transactions as they happen and being able to flag anything that looks suspicious before it even affects your account. That's how BI is changing things. It's not just about reacting to threats after they've already happened. It's about predicting and stopping them before they can even start. And this goes way beyond thinking. Think about insurance companies using BI to figure out risk more accurately so they can offer customized policies. Or even individual investors like you using BI tools to look at potential investments and make smarter choices.
So instead of just going with your gut or using old school methods, you can make choices based on data. It's like having this extra layer of confidence.
Absolutely. And then there's the whole world of regulations. It's this constantly changing maze. And trying to keep up with it all can be a real pain for financial institutions. But BI is helping there too. It can automate reporting processes and make sure companies are following all the latest rules.
So no more late nights trying to meet deadlines
Yeah.
or stressing about whether you missed some crucial compliance requirement.
Exactly. And, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning. These technologies are like rocket fuel for BI. They make it even more powerful and insightful.
It's like having this super-powered brain working in the background.
That's a great way to put it. And this AI-powered BI is changing everything, from fraud detection to algorithmic trading. It's transforming the whole industry as we know it.
Okay, so we've seen how BI is shaking things up in the U.S., but I'm really interested to see how it's being used in Africa. We have this research paper from the World Journal of Advanced Research and Reviews that gives us a unique look at the DI landscape there. What can you tell me about that?
Well, before we get into that, it's important to remember that Africa's financial landscape is incredibly diverse. You're talking about 54 different countries, all with different levels of economic development, infrastructure, and how far along they are with technology. So the way BI is being used and its impact in Africa is going to look really different from what we see in the US.
Right, we can't just assume that one size fits all. So what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities that this paper talks about?
One of the biggest challenges is infrastructure, like having reliable internet access and strong IT systems. That's essential for BI to work properly. And that can be a problem in some parts of Africa.
All right, it makes sense that you can't really harness the power of data
Yeah,
if you can't even get online reliably.
exactly. And then there's the fact that different countries are at different levels when it comes to technology. Some countries have fully embraced digital transformation, while others are still kind of getting started.
So even if the technology is available, you need the skills and the know-how to actually use it effectively. It sounds like building a strong BI environment in Africa needs a multi-pronged approach.
Absolutely. But even with these challenges, the paper also talks about the massive potential for BI to make a positive difference in Africa. Think about the potential for increasing financial inclusion, bringing financial services to people who don't have access to traditional banking.
There's an amazing idea. To give people access to financial tools and knowledge. That could be a real game changer for economic development and social progress.
Exactly. And don't forget about the potential for BI to improve transparency and accountability in financial systems. This could be a huge step towards reducing corruption and promoting good governance.
Wow, so BI isn't just about efficiency and making more money. It's about creating a fairer and more just financial system.
It is. And it really highlights the potential for BI to change things for the better, not just in Africa, but all around the world.
I'm really excited to dig deeper into how BI is being used in both regions. Let's take a look at some real-world examples of how this technology is making an impact. What do you have for me?
Well, let's start with the US. Okay, so one of the coolest examples I found was this story about a big investment firm in New York City. They were having a hard time keeping up with all the financial data out there and making investment decisions quickly. So they brought in this fancy BI platform that uses AI and machine learning to analyze market trends, figure out risks, and spot investment opportunities, all in real time. The results were amazing. They saw a big jump in how well their investments were doing, and they could make better decisions faster than ever.
That's a perfect example of how BI can give you an edge in finance, where things move so fast. It's not just about having the data, it's about having the right tools and the know-how to understand it and turn it into something you can actually use.
Exactly, and this is really just the beginning. BI is being used in so many ways to improve how finance works. From catching fraud to giving personalized financial advice, there's even this growing trend of using BI to make customers happier in the financial sector. Think about those chatbots that can answer your questions about your account or help you do your banking. That's all powered by BI.
Wow, so BI is basically everywhere in finance now, both behind the scenes and in how we interact with our banks and stuff. It's becoming something everyone needs if they want to keep up in this data-driven world.
Totally. Now let's shift gears and talk about Africa. Remember those challenges we talked about before, like problems with infrastructure and not everyone being at the same level with technology? Well, even with those hurdles, there are some incredible things happening in the African BI space.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about these innovations.
So there's this inspiring example we found in our research. It's a mobile banking app that's being used in rural Kenya. A lot of folks in these areas don't have access to regular banks, but they do have cell phones. This app uses BI to let them open bank accounts, send and receive money, even get small loans, all through their phones. It's a great example of how technology can bridge the gap and give people more financial power.
That's a really powerful example of how BI can make a real difference, especially places where traditional financial systems aren't available. It's about making sure everyone has access to finance, and
Yeah.
giving people the tools to build a better future for themselves.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just helping individuals. BI is also being used by governments in some African countries to make things more transparent and accountable when it comes to public finances. Imagine being able to see how the government is spending money and having that info available to everyone. That's a powerful way to fight corruption and promote good governance.
That's a really important use for BI, especially where corruption has been a problem. It's about using data to give citizens more power and hold institutions accountable.
You got it. And it highlights how BI can be a force for good, not just in finance, but in society as a whole. But it's important to remember that BI isn't some kind of magic solution. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. We got to be careful about the risks and the ethical side of using BI,
Yeah,
especially as it gets more powerful and widespread.
absolutely. We need to make sure BI is used responsibly and ethically, that data is protected, and that algorithms are fair and unbiased. There's a lot of work to do there, but it's a conversation we need to be having right now.
Definitely. It's not enough to just focus on what BI can do. We have to think critically about how it affects people and society. But switching gears a bit, we've talked a lot about how BI is being used, but what about the skills and expertise needed to actually put BI into practice? What have you found out about that?
Well, as you can imagine, it takes a mix of tech skills, business smarts, and knowing a lot about the specific area where BI is being used. You need data scientists who understand all the complex stuff about algorithms and machine learning, but you also need business analysts who can translate those insights into strategies. And of course, you need people who get the industry where BI is being applied.
So it's not just about hiring a bunch of tech geniuses and hoping for the best. You need a team with different skills and perspectives.
Exactly. And it's also about creating a culture where everyone in an organization values data, from the top bosses to the people on the front lines. A culture where everyone understands the value of data and uses it to make smarter choices.
That makes sense. It's about empowering everyone to embrace data and use it to come up with new ideas and grow. But all this talk about needing special skills makes me wonder, is BI only for big companies with lots of money? What about smaller businesses or even individuals? Can they use BI too?
That's a great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. BI is becoming more accessible all the time, partly because of these cloud-based BI platforms. These platforms offer a bunch of tools and services that can be customized for any organization, no matter how big or small or how much money they have.
So it's not just for the big players anymore. It's becoming something anyone can use. That's really exciting. But with all these advancements happening so quickly, it's hard to even imagine what the future of BI will be like. What are some of the trends we can expect to see in the coming years based on what you've been reading?
Well, one thing's for sure. BI is only going to get more powerful and more common. AI and machine learning are going to become even more integrated, which will lead to even more advanced insights and predictions. We'll also probably see more focus on data governance and security as organizations figure out how to manage and protect all this sensitive information. And maybe the most exciting thing, we'll see BI being used to tackle some of the world's biggest problems, like climate change, healthcare, even education.
It sounds like the possibilities are endless. It's almost mind-blowing to think about how BI could change pretty much every aspect of our lives.
It is, and that brings us back to the big question. Why is BI suddenly so important? It's not just about the technology, it's about what data can do. It's about using data to understand the world better, make better decisions, solve problems, and create a better future.
It's about using information to empower people, organizations,
Yeah.
and even whole societies. That's a pretty amazing vision.
Totally. And we're just starting to see what it can do. Who knows what incredible things are waiting for us in the world of BI? The future is wide open.
On that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into business intelligence. We've covered a lot, from the history of BI to how it's being used today and what's coming next. And I got to say, I'm leaving this conversation feeling really excited about the power of data.
Me too. It's been an awesome journey, and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Yeah, it really feels like you're giving our listeners this toolkit and saying, go out there and explore. The data world is your oyster.
That's the idea. Because no matter what you're doing, running a business, managing your own finances, or just trying to understand what's going on in the world around you, data can be this super powerful tool. And with all the progress in BI, that power is getting easier to access than ever before.
So true. It's not just for the tech giants anymore. BI is for everyone. But that brings up a really important question. If we're all becoming citizens of this data-driven world, what does that mean for us? What skills do we need to have to really thrive in this new environment?
One thing is for sure, you've got to develop some level of data literacy. It's not enough to just sit back and take in information anymore. We need to understand how data is gathered, how it's analyzed, and how it's used to make decisions. We need to be able to look at data and ask questions like, where did this data come from? What methods were used to analyze it? And are there any biases baked into those analyses?
So it's about being a smart and skeptical consumer of data,
Yep.
not just blindly believing whatever numbers are thrown at us. It's about thinking critically and asking the right questions.
You got it. And it's also about understanding the ethics of how we use data. Like we've been saying, BI can be a powerful force for good, but there's also the potential for it to be misused. We need to be aware of those risks and push for responsible and ethical data practices.
It's like we're being given this powerful new tool, and it's up to us to use it wisely. It's a huge responsibility, but it's also an incredibly exciting opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that's the main takeaway from this deep dive. BI isn't just about numbers and algorithms, it's about people. It's about how we use data to empower ourselves, to make better choices, to solve problems, and to create a more fair and just world.
It's about using information to make positive changes. And that's something we can all get behind. So to everyone listening out there, we encourage you to embrace the power of data. Explore what BI has to offer. Ask questions. Be curious. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to make the next big breakthrough in this exciting and rapidly evolving field.
The future of BI is up to all of us. Let's make it a good one.
Well said. And on that inspiring note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of business intelligence. It's been an amazing journey, and I hope you, our listener, have enjoyed it as much as we have.
It's always fun to explore the data world with you. Until next time, stay curious.